I'm going to go ahead and evaluate the three performances, the quarters for the three. All right, in third place, I'm going to put Verizon. Verizon had a very, very good quarter in some key ways we had to see them improve. They fixed prepaid. They had the leading free cash flow. I was tempted to put them in second because of that. They had the service revenues. All those things are great. They didn't lead in postpaid connections. They didn't do bad. It was pretty good. And then they fixed prepaid. They had the industry worst churn. So I kind of had to put Verizon in third because of a couple of factors. I rank AT&T number 2. I was tempted to put them as 3 and put Verizon at 2, but here's why I picked AT&T at 2. AT&T's best margin business continues to shine and increase in its margins. And by the way, Verizon Broadband, very good business. It almost tempted me to put them in second. The reason I chose AT&T is they have decent wireless margins. With the growth, they find ways to continue to add customers even without any perks or add-ons. Their fiber service is a winner for them, and it's very profitable. They continue to increase the ARPU. Prepaid churn is still low. They didn't add any customers in prepaid, but they're not really losing all that many, I guess. I was really torn between trying to pick between AT&T and Verizon second and third, but clearly the best performer for the quarter was absolutely T-Mobile. It's not even close. They hit on everything. They had the most fixed wireless access sub gains. They had the most postpaid line gains. If we take out free lines, they probably had like 600,000. So they're still more than AT&T, right? They're probably as much as AT&T and Verizon, right? They had the free cash flows. I mean, they're doing really, really good. The investor rewarded them. The stock popped today by like 3%. AT&T stock popped today by like 3 or 4%. Verizon reported the investor hurt them, and I don't know why. It didn't seem that bad to me, but that's the way I rank them. Zero Cool, how do you rank them?
Yeah, so I got number 3 in third place, Verizon, because they're expensive and they just suck. No. I have a number
Very
2.
objective of you. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I owe them like a lot of money. Second place, it would be T-Mobile. Only because, yes, they had a great quarter, but their CapEx is not changing. That's a problem, huge problem.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And first place, because they're doing so well at the stanky long game, we got AT&T. And their execution is as flawless as not changing, and it's actually working. In my opinion, it's working. Until T-Mobile gets somewhat of a fiber strategy, and instead of using like a D football team, then we'll talk. But like until then no.
All
That's
right,
how I rank them.
Go ahead and rank them.
I mean, AT&T is obviously number 1. They have Lily. No, just kidding. T-Mobile's number 1, obviously, because the numbers, looking at it objectively. Regardless of our biases, either for them or against them, they had the best quarter for postpaid net additions, for home broadband ads. Minus the free lines, like you said, Sneed, they're still outpacing Verizon and AT&T by at least 50% in that department. And they are still expanding their network regardless of the sitting on the spectrum. Once they start actually deploying that C-band spectrum, maybe we can then have a conversation about their network actually winning in the markets that ookla says they win in. Because being a customer that's used both services, I can tell you, T-Mobile has faster speeds, but Verizon has a more reliable network. For me, reliability is more important. But again, I'm a network guy, so I'm the exception to the rule. Verizon is number 3, just because they tend to focus more on business and on the more profitable customer, whereas T-Mobile and AT&T They're starting to give more promotions to cheaper plans and to entry level plans. So essentials on T-Mobile, you can get 4 lines for $100 and 4 free iPhones. AT&T gives the best promos on any plan. So obviously, AT&T might move to number one because they're so consistent with their promos. But right now, T-Mobile number one, AT&T number two, Verizon number three.
B, you want to jump in?
Not really, but I guess I will. I'm gonna go against the grain because I always do.
Yeah, please do.
For me, it's about growth and profitability, not just about growth. Both of the two companies that you guys named are still, 2 and 3 behind Verizon in profitability, and as far as top line revenue is concerned too. And that matters. Yeah, growth is cool, but if you're not making the money, then who cares? So for me, I thought Verizon had a better quarter than those other two. I don't really care. I mean, splitting hairs 2 and 3, I don't really care. I think Verizon had a better quarter than those guys. When you talk about that, the network and everything like that, you're talking about continued growth as far as growing out their fiber to the prim network, and then also, of course, their wireless network. They continue to build out both of those things. Not really seeing that from both of those guys, from the other two guys at this time. There is no spectrum squatting at Verizon at this point. That's meaningful. So that I think they're giving the customer the bang for the buck that's necessary in order to be able to charge what they're charging, and it's showing. Of course, churn. They were number 3 in the industry in churn, but I think it seems to me, based on what they said on their earnings call and the way that they're acting, that they're not necessarily unhappy with the delta of 0.11% when they're getting $3 billion more money, $3 billion more in top line revenue, and then $1 billion more in free cash flow. So they led in wireless service revenue, they led in EBITDA, they led in free cash flow in the industry, and they managed to also provide the growth that everybody's been asking for from the company. I don't think Verizon is necessarily, set out as a mission to grow faster than everyone else. I think they want profitable connections, which is what it seems to me AT&T and T-Mobile are, willing to forego in the interest of just putting something on the board, and that being, growth, but stagnant profitability, still coming up behind Verizon as it pertains to, actually earning money and being able to keep that money to be able to reinvest back into their business. You got healthy CapEx numbers, and that's also showing in their reinvestment into their business from a wireless and also a wireline perspective. They got the Frontier purchase and everything as well. They're not resting on their laurels. I'm going with Verizon.